So, my name is Michael Randolph, and I'm with the West Tampa CDC. Tonight, or this evening, or this day, whenever you review this particular video, we're making a presentation, or at least we're sharing some thoughts with the members of the CAC committee, West Tampa CAC committee. So let's back up 1 second. If you recall, the West Tampa CDC curated an initiative called the West Tampa Technology, Wealth Building, and Job Curation Initiative. That initiative consists of three basically major components. Technology, in terms of how do we begin to create jobs in the future for residents, anywhere from how to do game application to mobile application to 3D to everything technology, teaching them getting ready for the future, and a lot of other things. The other part was wealth building, and wealth building consists of basically three parts. One part of the wealth building had to do with working with residents to start their own job. We're going to talk about that tonight. Another part of the wealth building was talking about how do we curate individuals, the community in general, from moving from a consumer mentality to an investor mentality, meaning understanding stocks and bonds, understanding crypto, understanding blockchain, understanding NFTs, all of that related to investment. The third component related to the Workforce Center had to do with the West Tampa CDC creating its own businesses based on a feasibility study that were done to create different streams of income to come in to the community. But tonight, I want to talk about the most recent project that we have as part of the wealth building, and that's the home base and e-commerce project. E-commerce and home base is two of the fastest growing businesses in the industry. So let's go to the video. Let's hear about conversations we had, and let's talk about takeaways afterwards.
Rome Yard Community Benefit Agreement with Mr. Rob Brosner. Before we start, let's go ahead and
Carlos, let me press record before you get too deep.
Sure. Okay, so we're recording now. All right, welcome everyone. Let's go ahead and open it up for public comment. If anybody has in the public or online, anything to say, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Randolph, and I'm with the West Tampa CDC. I want to start off by thanking the CAC committee because y'all brought us to this point where there's going to be a real change in West Tampa. There's some quick highlights. We're talking about 40% of minority businesses will benefit from this, especially local businesses. 40% of individuals can be having construction jobs. 120 new resident businesses are going to be started, and out of that, 130 new jobs will be created. That's the part of the CDC. And most importantly, the community actually put the input in to make this deal. So I want to thank everybody. Now, what we plan to do with this is to take what we got from this deal and go for what's known as the Community Economic Development Grant. That's $800,000. We're going to use that $800,000, come back to West Tampa, and make that $8 million by going to your banks and going to and your other financial institution, on with the most recent survey that showed that in West Tampa, there has been red line districting. So we'll be going after that money. We're going to take that 8 million, and then we're going to go after 80 million to do affordable housing, economic development, and all those other things related to public safety. So, folks, this is just the start. I'm happy to be part of this partnership. The only thing I have in reference to the contract itself goes to page 3, number 5, when it talks about the West Tampa Cultural Center. I'm concerned from the West Tampa CDC side of the table that we definitely want to request that we be part of that that committee, because we want to be able to have a art center that reflects the history of West Tampa, so people can know, especially the African American population, so they can know how did it happen that you got here, what are you doing, and what are the same great leaders in the community. That's why it's important that we be on there to make sure we definitely tell the West Tampa story as well. Other than that, this is an excellent proposal. We plan to make money, y'all. Again, thank you to the CAC.
Sir,
And I'm happy about that provision. My only concern is, on one hand, that's good, but then I'm thinking there's folks that certainly we'd want to help that are going to be above that 140%. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head, you have a teacher, 2 teachers, starting out. Well, they might be ideal purchasers, but they're above 140%. They might be 160%. I guess before I was thinking that they were going to be a mix of market rate and affordable. So that wasn't an issue.
Yeah, I do want to jump in real quick because I think that's critical that the community maintain at that 140 cap. The whole objective is to make sure that we preserve the people in West Tampa and not so much bring new people in. There are a lot of residents that need that 140 cap, and we're talking about teachers, assistants, janitors. We're talking about people that work as stock people in the stores, cashiers. All these people was figured in this cap of 140, and I think it's important that we keep it at that 140 cap. I understand that there are some who desire other people to come in. That's okay, but these money will make sure that we preserve the residents in West Tampa and those people that are making under 140. So I just want to emphasize that that's very important, because this goes to the question of justification. And how do we begin to deal with that issue? We deal with it by preserving and making available opportunity for folks to be able to buy houses in West Tampa that are part of the workforce, especially the blue-collar workforce.
But now that they're all going to be affordable, on one hand, that's good. But then on the other hand, people that I think would be great additions to the neighborhood are going to be a little bit above that 140%.
I'm not so sure that's the case anymore, Jeanette. We're finding a lot of teachers and nurses and firefighters can't afford and can't meet the 140% threshold. So, and this was done largely to try to make sure that the townhomes were kept in private ownership for private use and were not bought out by corporations and then used,
And that was my original concern that I had brought up, because I was so afraid.
We heard you and we heard others too say that exact same thing.
So this is the tool that was used to try to make sure that was done, and it was also it helped with the affordability as well.
But thank you. I think overall it's a very good effort.
Always a pleasure, Jeanette. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeanette. Go ahead, Ms. Delphine.
Yes, so at what phase do we insert what Michael Randolph talked about on page 3, I think it was number 5, the culture center CDC being involved? So I think that's a very important aspect.
What we can do is we can take the comments that y'all are making today back and see if we can make changes and substitute it if they're relatively minor, and we will ask related about that. If not, then we'll just have to work at making sure that you all are inserted to the extent we can, what the CDC is in the lease.
There's some other information related to the home base initiative. As you can see, some of the benefits includes increase in sales taxes. Because we're able to bring in new businesses, and businesses pay sales taxes. The other thing is that then increased resident-owned businesses. We talked about the number of resident-owned businesses that will get started on this initiative. It also increases public safety by providing opportunities for those who have criminal records, at-risk youth, an opportunity to start their own business. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just 1 minute. It also increases new job creation for residents. Because the new jobs that's getting started, and this is over a 5-year period of time, we're looking at each one of those, at least 40 of those businesses being able to hire anywhere from 2 to 3 residents as a result of this initiative. So that's how we create jobs. And then for sure, it's going to attract investors and lenders to the communities as well. We look at this as a big in economic development. And keep in mind that everything we do related to the Rome Yard deal is preparing us to go after additional resources to make sure that the entire West Tampa community is going to be affected by economic growth, and more importantly, making sure that we transform people who live in the community by providing opportunities for them to earn the income necessary to enjoy the bricks and mortar projects that are coming to the neighborhood. So again, we heard the concerns of the community, and those concerns was that you wanted us to create a program that make sure that it does not increase the gentrification of the community, but actually reduce the potential of gentrification. You also wanted to make sure that those that benefits included the low income, senior citizens, at-risk youth, those with criminal records, and that basically those that with limited skill sets to allow little more opportunity in each of those categories to actually be part of the transformation of West Tampa. The one thing our philosophy is that no one left behind. This is a bottom-up approach of creating wealth in West Tampa. Again, thank you for giving us an opportunity. But keep in mind, this is part of the bigger picture is the West Tampa Technology, Wealth Building, and Job Creation Center. We are looking for nothing but the best in the coming years for West Tampa and its residents. We want to make sure that not only that places and things improve, but we also want to make sure that the quality of life of residents in West Tampa also improve. As well. Thanks so much, and I'm looking forward to really taking it to the next level.